Welcome to Tree and Press's Stubborn Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. Our today's show is brought to you by Gym Pro Zone with all your gym equipment needs and fashion needs. Today we are joined with our wonderful author, Link.
Hi everybody, how you guys doing?
This is a wonderful time. So we have My Brother's Shield out, and I know you're working on book 2 that will be out sometimes, maybe by the end of the year.
Yeah. I was hoping trying to do it by summer. I'm still working on some things here and there of the project. Close to the end, trying to make sure the story flows the way book 1 did, and keep the ingenuity going. Right.
We want to keep everything in line, but at the same time, we want it to breathe on its own. Let the characters talk.
Yes. I know for those who have read my book, I left them with a nice little hip cliffhanger. That I've been getting fans and readers asking, "Hey, when the next book coming out?" And I keep telling them, I'm working on it. It'll be out soon. So I want to make sure the first book just flows right into the second book, and just like a series. And basically it's a book series.
I know with our series, it can go, each book can be read as a series, or it can be read as a standalone. We do a lot of things as authors that are fun, but it drives our readers crazy because it takes us so long to write the book.
It does, because a lot goes in, the behind the scenes of editing, making sure the content is equivalent to everybody, so they can get the understanding, not to be bearing on one than the other. So a lot goes in preparing these books.
You don't want to have it wrote for a college professor and have it read by a teenager in high school.
Correct.
So we want to include everyone.
Exactly.
But for those of us who haven't read the book, and I don't know how many there are listening to this, but I know there's a few. What is book 1 about?
Book 1 actually goes in off of 2. Book 2 goes in off of 1, where he's looking for his wife. And the cliffhanger, for those who have read it, she's missing. And his whole world just comes to a crumble. He got to stay maintained on his focus of doing his working his assignments, trying to keep the team back a little bit. But the main focus is trying to find his wife.
Now, okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Because I'm having computer issues, because those of you who are not in wonderful Ohio right now, you don't know we're in the middle of a blizzard. So my computer is being all wonky. It's winter. Gotta love it. But it's what it is. So we have the cliffhanger. He's looking for his wife, the internal turmoil, keeping the team together. We're looking at everything. Now, I know it's not going to be cut and dry in the second book, because it wouldn't be interesting if it goes, "Oh, here's my wife. Okay, we're done now." So
no. It's a struggle. I mean, I think at one point in the book, he's like right there, but don't know she's there. That kind of thing. They miss each other a couple of times in passing. I say in another incident, she sees him, but he don't see her. And then another incident, they don't see each other, but they're right in each other's area, doing the struggles of him trying to find her, as well as trying to bring these other guys to justice. And it ties into a lot of things that occurred in the first book.
Okay.
So it's a continuation on of a lot of criminal activity. And again, it's based out of the Ohio region, Cleveland area. This time I extended across the state lines because of the agency work or details that were working together. It went across state lines. So it's a lot going on.
I mean, with your history and background with Ohio, you know our straight state lines. You know what's going on in Ohio more, probably
Definitely.
better than I do. I'm more regional where you're more state. So,
Right.
but
And
I mean, it's all there. And anyone that understands the region will know there's so much activity going on behind the scenes in Ohio that it just doesn't make the news.
exactly. And for in the beginning of the first book, I kind of like broke down Ohio itself because again, some people do think that Ohio is just a Midwest state. But however, again, like I spoke in my book to a lot of my readers that the state itself is broken into three regions. The Right. And basically what I was saying before is that a lot of the readers doesn't understand how it's broken up to three parts. The Midwest part, which is the northwest part of the state, and then you have the south region, which is the southern part of Ohio, which is right on the Mason-Dixon line, and then you got northeast, which is actually where the East Coast meet the Midwest, and Cleveland sits right inside that East Coast barrier, where a lot of things go on. That's more eastern coastal development.
Yeah, it's if you don't know the area, and you did a wonderful job with describing this in your book, you would think Ohio is just all the same regardless of where you go in the state, and it's not. You have different mindsets, you have different cultures, it's a true mixing pot depending on what part of the state you're in.
Right. And a lot of the British wars back in the 1700s were fought a couple in Ohio. And it was founded by Cleveland, the guy who was fought in one of the wars there. And that's why Cleveland got his name. It's monarch, I should say.
I mean, there's a lot of history here.
Right.
If you don't understand the history, you don't understand the state. And if you don't understand the state, then you wouldn't understand the politics. You wouldn't understand the mindset of the people that live here. But you did a wonderful job in book one. So I am anxious to see it in book two.
Like I said, book one flows right into book two. I kind of recap a little bit to bring the story back up. So the readers won't be just like, okay, where did this come from kind of thing. So I brought that back in so they could be involved right into time. It's kind of like how if you was probably watching like a Netflix series and you just got done with season one and then season two pops up, you want to get that background of what kind of ended in season one and bring everybody back up to speed so season two just flow.
Right. I mean, there's going to be people out there that mistakenly picks up book two and don't know what's happened in book one to get to point B.
Right.
So you have to have that backstory, that recap to bring everyone up to speed. So even if they don't pick up My Brother's Shield, they understand where the book came from.
Exactly. Again, I try to use historical spots that readers who are from Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia area, and even New York, they will have that makes sense. Use certain places that would bring back memories. I remember reading a review from book one, and one of the readers there said, "Hey man, you it brought back memories of living in the state," because I guess that reader at that time had moved away from Ohio. And as he read my book, it brought back genuine memories of him living there and how things really went on within the state, within Cleveland and social boundary areas of the state.
I mean, you brought in so much of the history in the first book. I'm no longer in the Cleveland area, but I remember going to almost every place you mentioned in book one.
Correct.
I mean, we talked in length about this during the first interview.
Right. And I think at the first interview, I might have just started with the sequel. And now I progressed a lot in it, but still got to tie some things up to bring it to a close. And a lot of good historical, because a lot of spots that I did mention in book 2 is going to bring it home as well, help with the bring it home.
I'm very thankful that you're taking your time to make sure everything flows, because that's going to make my job as your publisher that much easier.
Yes.
But it goes to a lot of research, and this is something that readers don't always understand. We do so much research with our books. We put so much of the real life scenarios in real life books. Now, I write fantasy, you're writing more general fiction, but you're putting so much research in it, and that's what takes the time to make sure it's right.
Correct. Because I mean, I've seen movies and read books where I'm like, wait a minute, that's not correct. But then I get the genre that the author or the writer is trying to put in place, but it helps a lot, especially if a person's from that region or that city or that state, to have the right areas that you're trying to proclaim in your book, because it brings their attention more into what you're trying to present to them as an author or a writer or that entertainer.
Right. I was writing a story last year. It's not even going to be published yet. With another author, we put so much research into finding out what the city looks like, what the name of the streets are, how many stoplights there are per street. It's a lot of tedious things, but makes the story more believable.
Right. It does. It was the other day, I was watching an old movie with Kevin Costner in it. It was called Draft Day, and it was mainly focusing on the NFL draft, and being that he was a monetary coach of the Cleveland Browns at that time, he was trying to build up the Browns team for the upcoming season. However, the areas that they shot, I'm looking to see if it coincides to the story, and that cinematographer, the director, the writer, they did everything that I'm doing right now and things that you're speaking of as well, of bringing those tedious things into place so it could capture the audience that's watching or reading, the story.
Right. I mean, there's things, if you're doing a fiction like Marvel, you can use different cities to make your city look believable for that kind of film. Where if you're doing a film that's like game day or draft day or something like that, you have to have the city on point. You have to do the research. You cannot just say, oh, this is Cleveland or this is New York or this is LA. You have to have the city actually on point for what you're filming.
Right. Because it's all about, I mean, even though I'm writing fiction, are we still there?
Yeah, you were here.
Okay. Even though I'm writing fiction, I still have to bring that integrity into the book, because you want to have some truth, even though you're proclaiming it's a fictional book. So that so that reader can say, I trust that I'm trusting the story.
Exactly. You have to bring the reader into your city. You have to bring the character into the reader's mind. So the only way you can really bridge that and make sure everything is on point for that reader, for that character. Because if you miss one little, I'm going to make this fictional. If there's 32 steps to the building in Cleveland, that's right there on like by the river, and you say there's 10, you're going to get called out on it.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you have a person who's homegrown from that area. Like I said, when I was watching Draft Day, I knew that gas station that's set right under the bridge of the flats. So I could say, oh, that's the flats right there. And I say, oh, that's the gas station. I remember driving to that gas station, getting gas right before we did an undercover assignment that we was working in the flats area many years ago. And when I saw that gas station, I said, okay, the cinematographer of that movie, the special effects person or the director, they took the time to map out areas that would draw people who are from Cleveland into the movie.
Right. What you're writing about a city. You want to draw in your local audience, because your local
Right.
audience is going to hype it up to get
Definitely.
to your national audience.
Right. So, and the same thing in book 2, I made sure, even when it crossed lines, I made sure those are actually real areas within those states or that vicinity. So when a person who may not be from Ohio, but from Kentucky or West Virginia, they say, oh, okay, I know where that area is at.
Right.
And this guy knows he knows his stuff.
Well, you're going to go into Kentucky or West Virginia or that area. I'm going to pick it apart. That's my home.
Okay.
Where Cleveland is your home, Kentucky and West Virginia is
Right.
my home. So I'm going to pick it apart and go, okay, is this where?
Exactly. And I kind of thought that when I was writing the story. And keep in mind, I try to put a true event in each chapter that I write. Even though it's fictional, there's some truth to that to bring that story, the concept into play.
Right.
So being said, I had to make sure the parts I'm talking about, the area I'm speaking from, is real.
Right.
There's no BS.
Right. Your storyline can be total BS, but your cities have to be on point.
Exactly. And like you said, if I'm presenting something that's off point, even though the story is fake, you don't get caught up. Like, man, that's not real. That's BS. And that sometimes may turn some readers off from things. So I got to make sure that everything's in play.
Yeah. I mean, if you do your research right, and you know Uncle Joe sat at this gas station that has a single pump every day to play checkers with, Billy Bob,
right?
The reader's going to know that.
Exactly.
If you have the gas station, but you don't have Uncle Joe in there, they're going to go, wait, is this the right gas station? I mean, you don't have to do that much of a detail, but there's those readers that will pick up on that.
Exactly. And it's like I say, it's good to already, like I say, worked in that area, because then you have some inside knowledge. So when you do research different vicinities, you know how to put it together. It's like, when you take out a puzzle out of a box and the pieces are all scattered. You want to make sure that them pieces interchange with other parts of the puzzle. So at the end, your picture, your story is complete.
Oh, no doubt. I mean,
yeah.
You have to do that, because otherwise you leave so many plot holes. Now, as a fantasy writer, I can do this because now I can go in and fill in those plot holes with another book. But in a general fiction with real life areas, you can't always go back and write another book based on that area.
Exactly. And especially if the storyline is not going in a direction where it's going to continue on, or be able to bring back that part that you thought about. The other thing is I do bring back different areas, speak upon old characters as well as developing new characters in this book. So the story that it spins off from, it still has the continuity of that in there.
Now, we have a few minutes. Is there going to be a book 3?
I'm thinking about book 3. I'm thinking about it, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because the ending that I have proposed for book 2 may end right at book 2. But as I continue to write, I may come up with, because I got 3 endings right now that I'm proposing to put in play. So depending how the story translate or transition as it go, depends what ending I'm going to use. But I have thought about book 2, and I may just go off another spinoff that way. But I want to bring 2 and 1 to I ain't gonna say closure, but where my fans will be on another cliffhanger.
True. Spinoffs are always good when you want to end a series or in that way you can continue the story, stay true to the story without it being a true cliffhanger, or you can do a whole different storyline based on 1 or 2 of the characters from either book.
Right. So I'm kind of playing around with it right now.
Well, we're almost out of time, and I'm watching electrical lines sway, so I'm thinking that power is going to be leaving us very soon.
All right.
So I will talk to you later, Link, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
I appreciate you having me, and you stay safe out there because I know how those storms can be. Living in Cleveland for so long, and I actually traveled. If you let me, I remember one assignment. I was working in Detroit undercover assignment, and my youngest son's birthday was coming up. It was March 12th, to be exact. And I'm away on his birthday. I didn't want to miss his birthday, so I drove from Detroit. I wasn't supposed to leave the assignment, but I drove from Detroit back to Cleveland, so it was a 3-hour drive, and spent time with him and tried to sneak back before my team knew I was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Had I'm not going to say an accident, but hit a ice pocket on not Route 80. What was it? Route 90, going back to 75, where I could kick it back up into Detroit. And my car did a 360 and sped off the roadway into a big snow ditch. And I was lucky at that time not to have hit any cars, because there were cars alongside me as I was driving when the incident took place. And people stopped, to see was all right, and called in, got a tow truck to pull me out, and I was back on the road again as if anything didn't happen. But at that time, adrenaline was my inducing.
Yeah. So, well, we all want to be safe during the winter. Well, safe travel any time of the year. Watch out for your ice. But where can our listeners and our audience find you?
A lot on Facebook. I do tweet sometimes. I'm, for those who don't know, I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity out of the Las Vegas area, and I tweet a lot of things off our social media sites as well. But they could find me off Twitter and Facebook.
How about Instagram?
Instagram, I am on Instagram. You look up Link the Author, or I may have it as my regular name and then Link the Author. But I am on Instagram as well. If you want to see a few things, shoot me an Instagram chat. But
you're mostly Facebook. I'm mostly Instagram. We knock it out either way.
Correct. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on the show today.
I appreciate you having me, and I hope we can link up by that time the book is done, and then I can say, hey guys, go out and get the book. It's the sequel to 1.
I will love to do that, because seriously, we need to get book 2 out there, because we can't really say too much about book 2 until it's completely wrote. So
right. And I don't know if I should say the title yet, or probably wait into our.
Well, is the title set? Are you?
It's actually it is. I put like a not a headline, but a line under. It's still My Brother's Shield, but it's My Brother's Shield Saving Pam. That's the title to it.
Okay. Well, see, now we have a working title.
Yeah.
We like that. But to all of our readers, our listeners, and our viewers, happy reading.